This is John Knappenberger. I'm chairman of ASQ's Spencer Hutchins Social Responsibility Medal. In addition to that, I'm a past chairman of the board of ASQ, and I'm very pleased today to be here to speak to you a little bit about the medal, the man whose name is on the medal, a little bit of information about how a quality professional can get involved, or anyone else for that matter, in social responsibility and in the medal. And finally, and most importantly, with me is last year's medalist winner. And I think he provides a framework on actual a practitioner who's demonstrated how he has moved into the area of social responsibility, having been a quality professional. So hopefully this will be a piece that you will learn something, you'll be able to understand more about the medal and ASQ's involvement in it, and more importantly, understand from someone who's really been involved up to his eyeballs. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Manu.
Thank you, John, and good afternoon to everyone. It's a distinct pleasure to be on this Google Hangout. I'm a member of ASQ, American Society for Quality, since '87, and it is my pleasure to serve on a number of committees. And I've been involved with one of the aspects of helping blind people in India, and we'll talk a little bit more about it after John describes the medal and the criteria and other items. Thanks, John.
I'd like to just frame how the medal came about and why. ASQ had been looking at this area of social responsibility and how it links closely with the quality profession. And the fact of the matter is that we did have a chairman of the board, Spencer Hutchins, who epitomized that, not only in his personal life, but also his business life. And so it seemed right to put a medal in front of the awards board of ASQ to demonstrate, not only from a practitioner standpoint, but also from people who are leading the effort in social responsibility, teaching, writing books, advocating, both of those groups to be able to showcase for a larger audience that it is possible and it's very compatible to see quality and social responsibility allied. So the medal was developed partly because Spence epitomized this so much, but also that ASQ was moving into this realm, and at the same time, on the international scene, ISO was developing a standard on social responsibility. So the convergence of those items gave us the framework to build the medal. So their definition is straight out of ISO 26000 of what that means. And if you need information on that, you can get that from ASQ, either the standard or further on the information around social responsibility. We were primarily geared at looking at people who are in industry, in business, working in and through their companies to improve the social world that they impact. How they do it to people, in other words, what they do in the environment, how they sustain their business, and how they work to improve the social fabric around them and wherever they are. Now, we looked very carefully at the criteria early on, and we used a PDCA process, which says anyone who wants to nominate someone needs to develop a package that says, first, what was this person's approach to social responsibility? What was their plan? What was their approach? How were they intending to impact the whole realm of social responsibility? Was it a very narrow slice, or was it a very wide band? The second piece is, after they did that, how did they implement it? How did they go about doing it? And then next, what results did they get, and what's been the benefit? So it is the full PDCA cycle. Now, the nice part of Manu and his being awarded the medal, is the fact that he took the concepts and put it to play in society in a pretty wide swath. And I think it's important, having given you just this little bit of front end on what the medal's all about, to listen to Madhu's story about how he got started, how he did his portion of working in this area. So Madhu, back to you.
Okay, thank you, John. I want to take all of you back to my childhood days, 1959. I was about 14 years old, and it was the month of October, and I was playing with the firecrackers, which happens to be our Festival of Light celebration, end of the year activity. So one of the firecracker did not go off. Being young and not thinking enough, I took that firecracker in my hand and put a puff of air, and lo and behold, that firecracker exploded in my face. I had a third-degree burn, my entire face was burned, and I lost my eyesight. So for 24 hours in the hospital, I had no vision. I was completely blanked out. And to put the matter in the context, I had lost my parents by the age of 6, and I was pondering over my future, laying down in my hospital bed, that with no parents to guide and no eyesight, what will I do in this world? My future was very bleak. Fortunately, after 24 hours, with the help of an eye doctor, I regained the eyesight, and God essentially planted a seed that 30 years later, in 1989, we started a group called Blind Foundation for India here in the United States. This is a not-for-profit organization, and the impetus was that India has 15 million blind people. 1 out of 3 in the world reside in India. So when the foundation was set up, our charter was to prevent and cure blindness and educate and rehabilitate permanently blind people in India. In terms of the results, so far we have raised over $3.5 million. We have performed 110,000 free cataract operations in India and given 105 mobile vans to transport doctors to villages for screening and bringing patients back for cataract at the hospital base. And let me a little bit expand on this issue of blindness in India. Why so many blinds? Now this issue hits us at two ends. Children between the age of 4 to 6, they go blind when they do not have enough vitamin A in their diet. So the solution is extremely simple. A $1 investment in vitamin A, 5 doses between the age of 4 to 6, administered to a child, allows the child to remain in the school, study, complete the education, and enter the workforce. That $1 investment allows a child to become a working adult and potential of earning $100,000 in 30 years during the lifespan. What an exponential impact, $1 to $100,000. On the other hand, when elderly people are sitting in the villages, the cataracts are not removed. So we mobilize our resources, and it takes only $20 to remove a cataract in India as compared to $4,000 here in the United States. So you can see the big impact, and particularly the elderly people whose cataracts are removed, they live life useful to themselves, to the family, and to the society. So it's a tremendous blessing. And we are also very fortunate to have support from the Rotary Foundation, where we did 15 matching projects up to the tune of $500,000 and stretch our resources over the years. So the story of Blind Foundation is we have a big issue at hand. how do we leverage some of the quality management tools and techniques to start thinking about solving the big issue of blindness in India. And I'll give it back to you, John, and then talk about some of the tools we have used in the next segment.
Thank you. I think you can see from that the reach was pretty large, but it started with the single issue that he had in his background that later germinated into an idea. And I believe throughout the world, certainly throughout the US, people have causes that they really want to work on. The problem is, what are the tools we need? How do you marshal support? Where do you get help? Tools are critical, and ASQ obviously has those tools, but the thing that was important in the story Manu told you was his personal involvement, and in an area where he could see corrective action, that would be the cataract, correcting that, but preventive action as well. Mm-hmm. So when we look for medalists, we look for people who have the broadest spectrum to demonstrate that it's not just a fundraising issue in this particular case, but it's planning of the whole spectrum of what can be done to solve these issues. When we put the award together, we were very aware that there are a lot of people who do a lot of things with regard to social responsibility in the community. We're looking primarily to find ways that individuals or businesses contribute. And it's not just in funds. As you can see, there were funds involved, resources involved, mm-hmm. but it's a broader issue. And that's probably the number one thing that I would want to stress, that it isn't just what you want to do, it's how you engage a community mm-hmm. to make the bigger point. So I'm going to come back to you, Manu, around how you got that going. And maybe you could give us some thoughts on that.
Okay. Thank you, John. So being a quality professional working with AT&T Bell Labs around that time, I thought of setting up a very simple governance structure. So we started with a very small board of directors, 6 people, and we essentially used the principle of lean, good governance system, and then we decided upfront that we will focus on certain areas and start making use of some of the vast resources and tools available from ASQ. So one of the things we did was use the SWOT analysis for strategic planning at the outset. Then we thought of donor engagement. I was the voice of the customer manager at AT&T Bell Labs, so I was aware that we do not have to bother our donors throughout the years, sending so many leaflets, wasting valuable resource. So we came up with a very simple formula. Once a year, we do a mail shot informing them that this activity exists, and if you are in tune with this cause, please donate through mail. And then if they donate larger amount, we provide them a feedback report, but otherwise once a year communication will update them about the activities of the organization. On the volunteer side, since '89, so last 25 years, we have a group of about 30 dedicated volunteers, and we give them meaningful work because they fit this as on a voluntary basis. And by the way, this organization, we have nobody on a payroll. I do not get any money. None of my volunteers are paid. It's all on a volunteer basis. And we raise funds, and about 92 to 93% of the funds go for the programs in India. So the effort is stretch the dollars and stretch the resources to make an impact in India. And we have used donor recognition as one of the major effort, and very happy to share with you that President Barack Obama recognized our team of about 30 key volunteers with the Volunteer Service Award 3 years back. We also have used project management tools, Deming cycle, plan, do, study, act, as John was describing, and some benchmarking. Learn from other nonprofit organizations, what are their good practices and what can we implement in our effort. And to sum it up, John, my thinking was that we all can resonate with one issue, which is very close to our heart. And once we have an issue at hand, what we need to do is create a coalition of like-minded people who are interested in helping out. And then start raising the awareness and also make sure that we have a transparency and accountability, because we are using public trust and public money to further the cause, and in this case is the blindness issue. So our accounts are open. We have never been audited by IRS. We have a CPA who keeps track of everything. And couple of other comments I want to mention at this stage, John, regarding the social responsibility aspect in a broader sense. And that is, we all can begin to see that if we have a cause, we start at our own level, expand it to the family circle. And by the way, my family is totally involved in this effort. My both boys, nieces, and nephews, they help out when we have an opportunity to put this effort together on a yearly basis. From family, we go out to communities, community to nations, and nation to the world. So we have a tremendous opportunity to leverage the triple bottom line, which is the economic aspect. And fortunately, we have ISO standard 9001, allows us to use the optimal use of the resources on a global basis. For the environment, we have ISO 14001, which tells us how to keep the air clean, how to prevent the water pollution and solid waste pollution. ISO 26000 gives us a great guidance about the governance and ethics, which is so much needed throughout the world. And all these things boils down to one simple thing. And just to give you a quick context, I was invited to give a TEDx IIT BHU talk in India through a video at my alma mater. And this talk happened on the 7th of April 2013. And my topic was leveraging social responsibility to unite the world. And my bottom line is, the world is a single community. We are all part of it, and we all have an obligation to do our part to make sure that we are socially responsible. Back to you, John.
Thank you. That's very illuminating, and certainly from a practitioner's point of view, it's somewhat textbook about how people can use your own process plus the quality tools to move forward. The last thing that I'd like to put on the table about social responsibility, the METL and ASQ's focus on this, there are people who believe you have to be somewhat of a luminary. In other words, someone who knows a whole lot about social responsibility to be part of the process, either building a model that can work inside your business, around your business, through your business, or individually. And I would say to you, every model I've seen so far starts with a single thing. Mm-hmm. Like Manu, who had an issue with a firecracker, mm-hmm. Something prompted him to move on. And that move on, that inertia, getting over that inertia, and finding something that excites you is the critical path. Mm-hmm. The rest of the things, the tools, the techniques, the methods are readily available. And because if in fact there's a group of people who can work with it, it becomes a powerful, synergistic way of improving not only the individual and his or her outlook on how you impact the world, but more importantly, how a group of people can add value and add their own innate ability to something and make it better. And the problem is, in our world, sometimes we're waiting for someone else to do something for us.
Correct.
In this particular case, this medal was geared to get people interested at the macro level as well as the micro level of doing something positive without waiting for someone else to give them direction or guidance. An entrepreneur, an individual who has an idea, using the tools, methods, and techniques, I would say to you, is a very, very powerful instrument of change, instrument of demonstration to the world that these things are important to us as people, to the society in general, and how we can get the most important thing, results out of some basics that people take out of textbooks or out of learnings, but actually put it in place. The medal is geared to listen and see what the people have done, how they've approached it, how broad it is, how much they've been in. But the true test that we work on is demonstrate your results. Show us how it's impacted society. And you've got to demonstrate it in a way that we can validate and verify it. And I'll say, in the 5 years we've had this medal, we've been very pleased with the response. But it's just a limited response at this time. We'd like to grow this much bigger. We'd like the medal to become the showcase of what can be done,
Right.
what's possible, best of breed, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, everyone can participate in this. No one has to win a medal. And I would go back to you, Manu. I simply want to say it's amazing to me how many people said they got into social responsibility because they had a cause, but they get much more out of it. And I'd like you to help us with that. What did you see coming out of this?
Right. So, John, in terms of the satisfaction side, let me talk to you about last year we visited two of our medical partners in India. So at the first place, in a place called Vrindavan, it's a religious place, and this group we work with are tremendously dedicated. It's a Ramakrishna mission, and the founder of the mission, Swami Vivekananda, had come to the Parliament of World Religions here in Chicago, and he started this effort of helping people irrespective of caste, creed, or religion. Those who need help, they are given help in whatever capacity they need help. So we were on the campus there. The secretary of the group took us around, showed us that the resources we give them, what is its impact. And I can tell you that people whose cataracts were removed, when we met with them, they had a huge smile on their face. For a long time, they could not see what was happening in the world. Everything was blurred. Now they have a very clear picture of what's happening around them. So that smile and that satisfaction, I think it speaks a volume. Secondly, by going through this activity, the second stop was in the north place called Dehradun. It's a hill station. There they have assembled 300 children from schools. This is between K to 8 level, and they were all getting examined for their eyesight. And John, I can tell you, roughly 2 to 3% of these children have eyesight issue. So what happens is they could not see anything happening in the classroom on the whiteboard or a blackboard. They begin to withdraw from the school, and they are becoming a burden to the society. So our focus is to start going through the various schools, most of them run by the government, and do a screening camp and identify people who needs help. Glasses, vitamin A, some rare cases they need cataract operation, and our medical partner perform that free of charge. So personally, what it means is a great satisfaction that we have done a small impact into this world where there is a lot of misery, lot of causes, and lot of issues. And personally, we can all reflect that if you close your eye for a minute and think that if we do not have this eyesight, what will we do in this world? How will we navigate? So this is a tremendous challenge. And I want to give a plug about two websites. One is asq.org to learn more about the medal, and then blindfoundation.org to learn about our activities in India. And we'll be very open to share those who are starting out in their journey of social responsibility, to share with them how they can become proficient and make a difference to the rest of the world. Back to you, John.
Thank you for your, again, great comments and great help in this area. I think it goes without saying, we're very pleased with the medal. We're very pleased with the stimulus that it's begun. We'd sure like more. So, as Madhu says, the issue is ASQ website is available with data and information. Use it, but more importantly, the inertia factor, getting over that, finding your niche, finding your spot where you want to contribute is the key. So I look forward to many people in the future applying for the medal because they've had success and they want to demonstrate it to others and showcase it, that it's very positive for not only the individual, but most importantly, society. Thank you very much for joining us. We've enjoyed this. Hopefully you have. Good day.